Hello, welcome to episode 4 of Photography Chat. We're going to have Julianne S. joining us today. I'm just waiting for her to get up on the chat. I hope everyone is doing great on this chilly Thursday here in Toronto. Hopefully it's nice out there wherever you guys are. We'll just give Julianne a moment here to join us. And then we'll go from there. It's kind of quiet today. Usually there's some people that pop on by now. Maybe the internet broke. That'd be kind of weird. Hello, what's up, Paul? How's it going? Hey, y'all. Thanks for joining in. It's good to see you guys. Hello, Film Lab. How are you guys doing today? There she is. All right, let's get her in the thing. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hey, pretty good. How are you doing?
Not bad. My head feels a little weird today because I just got new glasses.
I was just gonna say, I like your new glasses. They look really good.
Yeah, there's some chunky boys. I
Yeah.
feel like fancy and grown up because I've never had like such fancy frames before. But they're like for this weird. I'm getting this optical therapy for like the my brain thing that happened. And they sent me to this like fancy optometrist place where their cheapest frames are like how more than what I spent on like all of my like whole last like thing.
Yeah.
Luckily though, in like the car insurance paid for all of this stuff, so like because like there's
Oh,
no way that I would. But it's weird because like the prescription is strange, so it's just like everything's clear, but it makes my brain feel weird because there's like
okay.
extra stuff inside them. I don't know.
Okay.
Science, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. I get mine on various internet sites that Instagram advertises to me for very cheap. Very, very, very cheap. These
I,
were like probably $20 or $40 probably.
dang.
Yeah. But I also have a very like weak prescription, so I have that going for me. But I also haven't had my eyes checked in like years. So,
That's
yeah,
no
I should
good.
probably
Well,
check.
I'm super stoked because insurance also approved me to get prescription sunglasses, and it's been like 10 years since I've had sunglasses, and
Yeah, that's a super exciting thing.
so geeked about um I'm so geeked about it. Like where is it? Let me see if it'll work. These are the glasses that I picked out.
Yeah, great. I was gonna ask, I was like, what kind of style are you getting? Those are great.
Yeah, they're the same whatever brand these ones
Shape.
are.
Oh, okay.
So I'm super stoked on that because like no more like when I'm driving in the wintertime like squinting through the bright ass sun and like
Yeah,
the visor down. But yeah. So
yeah, it doesn't have to be like this.
exactly. And then it's just like, but I'm blind as shit, so like I can't just like wear whatever. I'm so jealous of like people that don't need glasses if they can just like wear
Just
whatever
get a
like
new pair of $6 cool trendy shades. Like you can have 3 different pairs. Like yeah, you could just do like what my mom does, which is just buy a big pair of sunglasses and just wear them over your regular sunglasses.
see, I've
You can
tried
be
that
that guy.
though. But like I've got such a short snout that like I don't have enough nose to like
Like it's not gonna. It's just not gonna.
yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't really work. So it's like goddamn my Filipino genes for like blessing me with this like tiny wide nose that
My mom refers to her nose as a schnoz, so
okay, so like that she can get away
she's
with
got lots of space for lots of glasses.
it. Well, thank you for joining me on Photography Chat. I don't know if you want to take like just a minute to sort of like, let everyone know who you are and what you're about.
Sure, yes. Hi. I'm Julianne. I use the artist name Foot to Face, which is also my Instagram handle. I'm mainly collage. Well, I don't know what I mainly am anymore. I'm a multimedia artist, so I work in a few different mediums. Um, I do collage and collage stop motion animation. I make zines. I do collage poetry. I screen print. And this always happens. I'm always
And you
like, am I
also make
forgetting something?
beautiful arts. I
And I
have like
paint.
a bunch of your
Yeah,
stuff in the background here. That's like
I appreciate that. That's so nice.
most of that is all Julianne stuff.
A, yeah, I do some painting, a little bit of writing, and I DJ as well. Looking around to see if I missed anything. Yeah, that's my spiel. That's what I do. Yes.
But the
Thank you for having
connection
me
for
on here.
tonight is for some of your art, you happen to use a camera. And so that's kind of
Right, yes. I feel kind of funny to be here, like on the photography chat. I'm like, yeah, sure. Um, yeah, actually I was thinking about yeah, so like I use a camera, one camera, for stop motion animation. And I was thinking back to this like the last like stop motion animation that I did, which was a music video for a local Toronto band. And it incorporated like images of the actual band members, which is like kind of it was the first time I was using like photos and like my own photos kind of to in a stop motion or in any artwork really kind of in this capacity, yes. And yeah, it was challenging. Particularly because I'm not a photographer, so I don't really know what I'm doing with the camera. Like I don't know how to think about light. I don't know how to think about like the shutter speed. Like I do like every so often I kind of like review or someone kind of like re-explains to me like how it works, and then I just like I'm like, okay, I can do that, and then I just like kind of forget. So my method is to just completely fuck around until something seems to work out.
I have to admit that's exactly what I do.
Right, yeah. Yeah, like it's not yeah. Like I don't but yeah, you know. So anyway, but I remember like kind of getting the first like band member set up, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this camera. I have my camera here. And I was just like, by the way, like this might not go very well because I don't know what I'm doing. Like it might be really blurry and I don't really know how to fix that. So it might feel awkward for you as I'm like taking pictures and being like, this looks terrible, like the whole time. It's my little camera. And he was just like, yeah, this like musician, he was just like, he was kind of misreading me and was just being like, you are a photographer. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He's just like, yes, you are. And I was like, well, this is annoying. You know, like, but it was well-meaning, but it was also funny. But yeah.
So how did the project overall turn out in the end?
In the end, it turned out great. I ended up not using any of the photos that I used the actual camera for. We just went to phone photos because it was just simple, and also just in terms of coordinating, because there were a lot of members in the band, and not all of them could make it to that one. It was just like not super organized, but whatever. So it just made it a bit easier to just use phone photos, and like they were fine. Yeah, but it was also like a ton of work because then I had to, so like stop motion, depending on how, so everyone kind of knows a little bit about like frames per second, and everyone kind of knows that like stop motion is super involved and it's a ton of work, right? But they don't know until you've done it. You don't. I know you think you don't know.
So I'll admit I have no idea how it works other than like you take photos and then movie.
Right. Yeah. So um, and then movie. I remember watching like when DVDs came out,
Yeah.
watching all like the special features of like behind the scenes for whatever movies for uh that I was watching for The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I just remember like, and that movie took apparently 3 years. Okay, this is a 2-hour film. It's all plasticine. All of the model, like everything gets built like by hand, basically. It's 3 years, and that's a whole crew of people.
Whoa.
So that's a crew. That's like a huge crew, huge budget of people. So my stop motions are like 10 minutes long. Like, and the other thing too. So with the frames per second thing, is that like a standard like cartoon is like, or like what you usually see for stop motion um animations, I think it's like between 10 and 15 seconds, like is kind of the standard.
Okay.
And mine are 4 per second, right? Yeah, 4 per second. So it gives it a slightly different pace, kind of like it's a slightly different style. But it also means like a little bit less work for me. Um, but also that happened a bit by accident because I use iMovie to animate,
Okay.
which is not an animation program, but we make it work. Um, so the animating part works out because have you used iMovie before
Very
for some
terrible.
reason?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a complicated thing. You can make it complicated though, which is my specialty. Taking simple things and making it complicated. Um, so you can either kind of like edit movie files, or you can make a slideshow with photos, right?
Okay.
And have like little like fade transitions or whatever. Like those are your two options. So the way that I figured out how to use it, like I don't know, 7 years ago or something now, is that you treat it like a slideshow, but you make each frame, you can edit how long each one is. So you make it so that each one is 0.25 seconds long, which works out to 4 frames per second.
Okay. That look at that. Math and everything. That's
Okay. It's very involved. So anyway,
that sounds really tedious.
it's so tedious. So that means that if I want like say I'm animating you and I want you to play your guitar,
Yeah.
right? And you're like strumming the guitar, it means I need like a few photos of you kind of going like this and like moving quite subtly, because every little at this scale, like every little motion is going to be like noticeable. So if I have two different pictures and like you're looking at the camera and then the next one you're looking to the side, like it will be noticeable, right?
Okay.
That's going to create a movement, so that can be good. um you know um so yeah, in order to make a movement, I'm going to need like probably at least eight pictures to take up 2 seconds, um to get you to strum a guitar, and then I can repeat that like a few times. But so the thing is too, is that because I'm doing collage stop motion animation, I'm going to be cutting out your silhouette. I'm going to be cutting out like 8 photos minimum, probably, of you. Is this making sense? Do you follow?
Yeah, no, that's making sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it's like
that was
not
the
only
part
the
that
photos, but then it's also like because you're manipulating
I'm
and moving
cutting it out.
too.
But my fingertip went numb eventually. and I was just like, I just want a hand massage. Like, but it worked out and it was cool. And I was happy with it and whatever.
Crazy. So it's like,
I
do
would
you set up
totally
the
do it again,
camera?
but I would give myself more time and charge more.
Do you set? Oh, so that was like a paid thing to do the video.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, yeah,
So do you set it up on
yeah.
like a coffee stand or something, or just like a little tripod to like?
I have a mama tripod, like I've got an actual tripod. But the thing is that I knew this question was going to come up, so I've got my tripod here.
Damn, that's a nice ass tripod. That's like nicer
Yeah,
than my tripod.
I'm very happy with it. I got it at Henry's a few years ago. I got a small grant.
Okay.
And this was like the first thing that I was gonna get. But the thing is that you can't use just any tripod. Well, I guess you can. You find I don't know how, but if you're doing something that's like where you're it has to be lying flat on the surface, like the collage pieces obviously have to be flat if I'm gonna move it.
Yeah.
And I have done this before where I'm animating something that's 3D, then I just need to like bring this to desk level and I don't need to be over the desk, right?
Okay.
So this one has like the option where it will go horizontal.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. Oh God.
Dang.
So then I can go like that. Come on. Why is it stuck? There. And then I've got an attachment for like a smartphone on here now. But then, you'd attach the camera here and then it faces down. So it'd be like this.
Oh, you had this.
And then you can't move it.
Because then it'll mess it all up.
Messes everything up.
So when
But
you
the thing is,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, so like when you're setting up to do like the stop motion, it's just like you just set up the workspace and then it's just like that until you're done the project, or?
Basically, so well, I mean, ideally, but that isn't usually what ends up happening. So I come up with little like tricks for myself.
Okay.
So like I want to be able to like finish a scene, for example. Because when I come back, the lighting's going to be different, probably something's going to have moved slightly, like for sure. And like I also sometimes have to like, oh man, it's so frustrating where like the way that the bottom of the camera lines up with like the base of this thing makes it so that I can't get the battery out unless I take it off of the fucking tripod. So if my battery dies, like I have to detach it. So like the pressure's on. I usually have lots of snacks available to myself to get me through that. But yeah. So, or if like like if the memory card fills up or something, then it's like, okay, I just gotta like stop. So I usually try to like, just like try and complete a scene or complete a sequence. And sort of like have little ways to like line it up with an image. Like maybe I'll mark it, or maybe I'll just have something that's just the right size and I know that I need to like line it up with the top and the side, like that kind of thing. And then the other thing, like, oh man. So I'm an overthinker.
I have no
Like,
idea what that's like at all.
yeah, I know. Like so many people. So when I first started like playing around with stop motion animation, like I overthought it so much. And I was watching all kinds of like tutorials and things like that, and like and yeah, I kept the thing that kind of like changed it was when I was just like, I can just change the scene, whereas it doesn't have to be like completely consistent the entire time, depending on what you're making, right? it's just like making a film. Like you're not going to have it from the same angle the whole time unless that's like a specific thing that you want. It does not have to be that way,
Okay.
right? Like the camera can move actually. So that's something that's kind of been like a bit of a loophole. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So just that it's just like, oh, oh. But that's another way to kind of like get around the like keeping everything so like rigid, um, and just losing your mind over it. Yeah.
Which I'm sure you've never experienced so far.
Yeah, the camera can move. The camera can move. It changes your life. But like you just, I don't know. Sometimes you have a picture of how something works and then you try and do it yourself and then you're like, oh yeah, no, like it's like, yeah, you just got stuck.
I wonder if you can get a dummy battery for your camera, because like I know some cameras out there you can get like a battery that goes in that has like a pigtail on it, and you can like plug it into like a power brick, and then you like never
Oh,
have to worry about ever plugging like changing the battery because it's just like plugged into wall power.
that would change my life.
Yeah, I just putting like the model of your camera and just put dummy battery, and
Yeah.
that might be
Okay.
that
Good
might
to
work
know.
out for you.
Good to know.
So
Okay, thank you.
no
Good
problem.
talk.
There we go. Okay,
Well,
we're done. That's thanks for coming.
I've been ranting on Facebook for years about like, God, my life, why? like, like,
Yeah, batteries are like
yeah,
the bane of our existence in this new digital like world that we're living in right now.
yeah,
So
yeah. Right now, just yeah.
yeah, so how like what what got you into wanting to like do like stop motion type work and like yeah.
Hmm. Um. Good question. Um. I took a workshop a long time ago in Winnipeg. I'm trying to think what I think I was just trying stuff out. I like going to I like going to workshops. And at the time
I
I
miss
was just
workshops.
pardon me?
I miss being able to go to work like real
Yeah.
workshops, like not just on a Zoom
Yeah.
meet.
They're really valuable. Like they're amazing. Like I didn't go like I took like the my art school experience was like a drawing class in university, which was really valuable and great and gave me a lot of like confidence and um, new skills and stuff. That was great. But then I decided like university, I was really unhappy, so I dropped out of university. Um, but so workshops has been like my kind of like education um plan. But it's amazing what you can learn in like a few hours or or just people you can connect with and meet in for a 3-day thing or whatever. So it's been that's been great. Or sometimes I've gone to workshops where then I'm kind of like, oh, like this was all it just confirms that I know what I'm doing basically, or like all I have to do is do it, or just kind of, you know what I mean?
You just have to believe in yourself.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like, yeah, like you got all the information you needed. This is just confirming that like you're on the right track. Just go fuck around now. Um,
I like
you
that.
know?
Go fucker.
Yeah. Go fuck around. That was the other thing that just like changed everything where I was just like I was trying so hard to get this like whatever project out and to like set it up just right and blah blah blah. And then it wasn't until I was just like, what if I just fuck around today? Like what if I just like play and just see what happens? And I had a great time and it turned out way better than like whatever I was trying to do before. So now anytime I get stuck, I'm just like, that's what I'm here to do, and I just like kind of trick my brain. And then it's fine. And
Well,
that's
and
what like yeah.
that's a great point because I think like just in any sort of like creative practice, like taking it too seriously almost like hinders you and
Yeah, you're strangling yourself basically. Like
yeah, and then
that's
you
what
just
it feels
you
like.
start losing the fun, and then you're just like, whatever, I'm just gonna fucking burn this shit to the ground, and I don't even want to do it anymore, and it's just so stupid, and why did I even start doing it, and I hate
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
you gotta have fun.
Um,
You gotta play. You're right. It's true.
yeah, and that's kind of like the whole that's the whole point anyway. Like, yeah. Um, you just reminded me of like this time. I like to tell this story sometimes because I feel like it illustrates just like the drama where I think I was about 7. I
Okay.
think about 7 years old, 6 or 7. And do you remember those like spirographs where you'd
Yeah.
like put a pen in like one of the like holes of this disc, and then you'd like trace this thing around like the ridges of this other ring, and it would turn into this like cool like kind of mandala design, and you'd
Yeah.
use different colors and stuff. And so I was trying to use that, but some of it was kind of hard, like especially when you got like the little ones on the big wheel, like it's kind of tricky. And I wanted them to be so perfect, just like on the box, and like I just kept fucking it up, and I got so frustrated, I got so sad, and I just like lost it. And I was just like bawling in tears, and my dad was like, "What's the matter?" And he tried to comfort me, and I was just like, "I'll never be like Walt Disney." Like I have really high standards for myself. And
That
he was just like, "Oh my God." Because like at the beginning of the Disney movies, they'd always show like the animators drawing and, flipping the pages back and forth and all that. And like, wow, they're so good. I was fascinated. Like, you know?
so before I get into
Yeah.
the question here that's in the chat,
Oh,
I think
okay.
that would make a fantastic T-shirt ideas. Like, I'm never gonna be like Walt Disney.
But I feel like that's probably a good thing, honey. Like,
Yeah, no, it'd just be kind
yeah.
of like funny with like maybe a character of like a sobbing baby Julie.
That's
And then on
sad
the
as
back, it's
well.
like, go out and fucking play on like the
Just
back of
fucking play.
yeah.
Yeah. I could just
Um,
construct a whole workshop around that, maybe. Just like, I don't know.
well, that would be a great workshop entitled like I'm never gonna be like fucking Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Um,
We've got, or
John,
like a unit within a workshop or something.
exactly. So
Chapter.
Johnny the Bandit says, "Hi, I'm late, but I was wondering what is the story behind the guillotine shirts, the inspiration?" And I
Great
think it's
question.
great. Yeah, it's a great question.
Thanks for the question. So yeah. The story is I saw like some random post about these antique guillotine earrings from I can't remember like where like or what year exactly, but apparently like they had like it was like a guillotine, then they had like tiny little heads like hanging from them, and I was just like, these are amazing. And it was like um there was like this little article saying that like women used to wear these earrings as a sort of sign of, I don't know, like rebellion or warning or like some kind of like a statement. um and I was like, oh, these are great. I wish I had these.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh man, should I get like a guillotine tattoo actually? Like that came into my mind. And then I was just like, maybe, oh man, that's a little intense. Like maybe I'll get like, maybe t-shirts. I should make t-shirts. And then my best friend was with me and she was just like, I would want one of those. And I was just like, okay, cool. And then I was just like, okay, I should, like, it just kind of like appeared and I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. Um, and and I had just taken like a screen printing workshop around that, like probably a few months before. Um, and and I'd been thinking about doing t-shirts for like years and years. I used to do like hand painted designs, which I don't recommend. I mean, it can be your own thing, but like if you want to do that like often and not charge people like hundreds of dollars for your time, like yeah. Anyway, screen printing. But yes, that's basically the story. So then a few months later, actually, I was printing them and I wanted to have them available in time for what's today's photo of me? Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to make you feel paranoid. Like, DS Manning comments, I always feel like Merlin's taking a photo of me when I see him snap a photo of his screen.
Yeah. That's funny.
It is kind of
Um,
funny though, like seeing how people clam up whenever they see the camera, even
I'm
though it's
trying to
on
get
like
used
a
to it.
computer screen. Like it's kind of
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, totally. Um, but yeah, so I wanted them to be ready. I wanted to have some t-shirts ready to sell at TCAF that year, which was I think in 29 shit. Is that 2019 or 2018? 20, I think it was 2019.
Yeah, what? Because
Yeah.
2018 was yeah, I think it
Was the
was
election in
2019.
2018?
Fuck.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so it was
2019 was like
2019.
what, 6 years ago now at this point?
Yeah, exactly. And I keep mixing up like, yeah. Anyway, so it was 2019. And that was also like I was kind of putting up like just little sneak peeks of like the making of the screen and stuff on like my Instagram stories. And so people, people were kind of being aware of like, oh, there's like it's like guillotine design. And then, oh, she's making t-shirts, whatever. Oh, they're going to be available at TCAF. Um, and for anyone who's not aware, TCAF stands for Toronto Comic Arts Festival, and they had like a section for zine makers, and you can sell like other things along with your zines. So that was my plan.
That was the one that was in that
Anyway,
weird mall, right? Just off of
yeah,
Bloor.
like across from the reference library. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and it was incredible timing, turned out, because around the same time there was like a protest on May Day at Queen's Park, which is like the provincial parliament. Um, and I can't remember exactly what they were protesting, kind of like all of the cuts that Doug Ford and the Conservative Party was like making to like education and healthcare, and everything good. Um,
When she
and
says everything good, nothing's good about Doug Ford's government, just to, throw that.
yeah, no, but they're cutting everything good. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of that. And then apparently someone had built like crafty guillotine with an effigy of Doug Ford. And did you not know this?
No, I didn't know about that part. Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, so they did that. And then that was on the front page of The Sun like that weekend. And I was kind of like, oh, shit. Like, people are like, are you going to put your logo on the back? And I was like, no. Nah. Um, so, but I also thought it was great. But people started sending me these links and be like, hey, did you see this? Hey, this made me think of you. And I was like, okay, I mean, good timing, I guess. So then when, I had like this is a sweatshirt. I've got sweatshirts now. But
I've
when I
got,
had these t-shirts,
oh yeah, it's right here.
yeah. So when I had the t-shirts at TCAF, yeah, you got a red one. Nice,
Yeah, I
nice.
love this one, and it's weird pretty well. I'm gonna
Good.
completely be honest. I didn't follow your care instructions.
That's okay. That's the recommendation.
Because
Okay.
I'm lazy. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. The care instructions are just a hang to dry, but okay.
But it's just they were so beautifully done, and like and just I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little tiny bit guilty every time I like just throw it in the dryer, and I'm like, Julianne's gonna judge me if she knew.
It's okay. If it wears out, you just have to buy another one.
That's exactly. I guess that's a good segue into. You should check out foottoface.com if you would like
Hey.
to purchase your own guillotine wear.
Yeah, I've got hot pink ones right now. They're neon pink. These are ones in progress. They don't have. Oh, this one's done. Boo.
Nice.
Um, it's very bright. It doesn't quite look bright because of the lighting and the nature of photographing fluorescent colors, I guess. Man.
I saw the
But yeah.
post that you did of you sporting yours, and it's very
Yeah,
pretty.
outside it's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, yeah, so then at TCAF people were like fucking ready for the guillotines. So that was nice. Yeah, it was people were actually so fucking sweet. Like there's so many cute people buying guillotine t-shirts and just being like buying them for their friends and like, oh man, they were so adorable. They were so nice.
I miss going
Yeah,
to
just
stuff
like a
like
lot of nice combos.
Like
And
all the I miss like the zine fairs and all that stuff. Like it was
yeah,
like sad to not have that last year.
yeah, we had like there was the Canzine what did like an online thing, which was good. It was, but it is different. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because like that's definitely I was before the world ended last year. It was something that I had in mind to like maybe put together like a photo zine to like go to like one of the fairs and like set up a table and try and pimp my
yeah,
stuff out. But then
yeah,
like, COVID and the car accident happened and I just didn't end up doing anything last year really.
yeah, yeah. I didn't really end up doing much either, except for I guess like the t-shirts and stuff. But that was also kind of just like just it was already kind of done. Like it felt more like making rather than like creating something new. It's just kind of like, okay, like there's a step-by-step process. I just need to follow the step-by-step process. But otherwise, like I found last year, like making new were kind of like, I don't know, really difficult. I
But
still find it kind of hard, but yeah.
the screen printing thing, it like uses like a photosensitive emulsion too, right?
So,
Huh?
so there's two methods. Okay, hang
Okay.
on. Okay, got
Or sorry, light
got.
sensitive emulsion, not photosensitive emulsion.
So I have two screens here.
Okay.
One of them I made with the method you're talking about. This is one that I made in a workshop,
Okay.
and then I don't know if you can see like the design on it.
Yeah, it looks like one
It's
of
like
the
a drawing. Oh yeah,
painting
you can.
kind of, yeah,
Yeah,
one of those.
yeah. It's like a freehand drawing, and then this one is the guillotine one.
Okay.
So so making a screen is super tedious. Doing the printing is like pretty straightforward. But so when you make the screen, um, with this method, let me see if I
Not
can
the light
remember because I
sensitive.
did it. Yeah, and I did it with the guidance of like a workshop facilitator, which was very good. And it was also like a very like DIY kind of like approach. And so, um, what do you do? So you cover it with the photo emulsion, and then I can't remember if you need to like wait for it to dry or not. I can't remember. And then you take like, let me see if I have like some kind of image, whatever. You take your image. Let's say this is your image. This is a zine. You take your image and then you have to like kind of put it on top of that, or underneath it or something. I don't know. And then all of the like opaque design, like any opaque parts. So like this was just a white piece of paper with the drawing on it in Sharpie.
Yeah.
And then you expose it to light. So you have to have like professional places will have sort of like a box, or you can build your own light box, so that it's in a completely dark place, and then you like have your light and you time it. And in the workshop, we just like turned the lights off and had like a hanging like floodlight, and the person who's like facilitating it kind of knew how far away it had to be from the screen and for how long. So I think it was like 4 minutes or 7 minutes or something. And then you like turn the lights back on, and then you'll have like there's just this image that appears. It's like magic. It's crazy. And then I think you rinse it off or something.
That sounds like developing a photo. That's kind of trippy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then it's like, and then the stencil is there. So there's no, like, I don't know. It took me a long time to like wrap my mind around like how does it become a stencil though? There's no cutting or anything involved because you still need like the screen. Anyway, so yeah, science, light, and chemistry.
Yeah,
So
because
there's that.
that sounds like a very similar process to like doing printing, where it's like, yeah, you take a piece of photosensitive paper and then you expose a negative onto it and then you like run a developer through it and then like magically a photo arises.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So
Science.
the other way to do it, which is the way I've chosen to do it because I don't know, I'm just too nervous about like experimenting with like what if it doesn't turn out? And then you have to kind of like start over again.
Hmm.
with like light. Like if it, some parts come out sharp and other parts come out blurry, then it really changes the way that your screen is. And if it was like, if I were doing ones where they were a bit more like that style, where it's just kind of like a sort of freer painterly kind of drawing, like I feel like that those kinds of like flaws could be like kind of a nice feature.
Okay.
But when I have something like this, like I know I want it to be sharp and I want it to be clear, or if I'm doing like text, which is like another design I've done, like I want the text to come out really sharp and
I
clear.
still need to buy one of those off of you too.
Let me know.
Yeah.
So with this one, this is also super tedious, but maybe even it's got more drying time in between. So with this one, but it's still not very expensive. Like getting set up for screen printing isn't that expensive really. Like you could probably do it for like $100 or so,
Huh.
something like that, for all your supplies to get started. Not bad. Anyway, so first you'll use drawing fluid. First you'll trace your design onto the screen, just like with pencil, and then you'll fill that in with drawing fluid, which comes in, which is this blue, just like goo. So yeah, you dry your design, you let it dry for like 8 hours or whatever, and then after that you take this red stuff, which is screen filler, and then you use your squeegee and you like fill the whole screen. I usually use a paintbrush to like make sure I get the edges, and you gotta wait for that to dry. And then you go and rinse it out, and you just use like your bathtub, and you rinse out all the blue stuff, and then you get your stencil design. So in that case, you don't need any light. You just need the two like jars of stuff, which are both like I think like $11 each at Gortzman's, which is the best art supply store in Toronto, and everyone should go there and order from them.
Is this off of like Spadina and
College.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the west side of Spadina. Yeah, they're the cheapest and they have the best staff, for sure. I've gone in there being like, just I don't know what the thing is called, and I'm like, I just want the collages to stick to the board. What should I use? Like, what kind of adhesive? And then they give me some options, and they would like, talk it out and read my mind, and then that's it. It's great. It's really nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah, anyway, I always recommend them. They're great.
Yeah, I liked. They did a zine thing in like 2018
Oh
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
Quartz zine. Yeah, that was like 2016, I think.
Was it 2016?
16 or 17?
Maybe 27, because I remember I took a Polaroid of you, and it was like it was the funny duochrome stuff, I think.
Right. Trying to remember, because my hair was quite a bit shorter.
It might have been like late 2017 because I was working on the book and I was showing you some photos and I took a picture of you. You were like looking through my phone at pictures on it. Yeah.
I remember looking at the pictures. Yeah. I remember you also told me this ridiculous story. Can I get you to tell it? Do you remember what story it was? It was a story where you were like buying a camera from someone that you found like on Kijiji or something.
Oh my god. Okay, let me get
that was amazing. I remember just being like sitting at my table and just being like, oh my god, like the whole time. It's a hell of a story.
So it's a funny story because like the dude is like, I consider him a mentor now, but at the moment,
know him now.
Yeah, we're like.
I didn't know that.
we're like super. So I will not give any names in the story, but some people may recognize who he is by the story because like I've told stories of the weirdness, and they're like, "Oh, it's that guy," and I'm like, "You know him too?" And they're like, "Yeah, I know him."
Okay.
So yeah, I met you at a time when I was like just getting into wanting or I was just starting to get more into film photography and stuff, And one of the things that had become like a massive object of desire for me was the Polaroid SLR 680, SX70 cameras like that, because they're just like, such a beautiful, amazing camera. And oh shit, there's still film in this one. I didn't even know that. Anyways, um, I wanted one really badly. As soon as I saw one on the internet, I was like, oh my God, I need to have one. And they were so expensive. But then I see this post on Kijiji, which, for any American people watching is like our equivalent of Craigslist up here. And it was a very reasonable price. And so I messaged the gentleman to go meet up with him. And like, I'm also fairly new to Toronto when this happened. So I don't really know anybody in Toronto yet. I still have like all my friends out west that I talk to regularly, and I go to this address, which is in a really weird place that I'd never been to before. Anyone that's like familiar with Toronto may have heard of like Rebel Nightclub, which is down on like Polson Pier, which is like in this sort of industrial port area of Toronto that I'd never been to yet, being new to Toronto. And so I'm driving into this area and I'm like, this looks sketchy as fuck. And it's like Saturday morning. I did not tell anybody where I was going that morning. No one knew I was there. I'm like, this seems really weird. And I get to the address, the place there, and I get out of the car, and this like built gentleman with a bit of a limp he kind of like walks up to me, and he looks kind of menacing a little bit, and I can see he has a very large knife in his pocket, and it's like a big hunting knife, and it was in a holster, like, so I could see the holster was like on his belt, like it was on his belt, like right on there, but like the holster part like went into his pocket, so I couldn't see how long the actual knife was, but the handle, I could see the handle, and the handle was like that. And so I was like, this looks like a huge knife.
I
And like,
definitely forgot about that detail.
yeah. Well, this is like, this adds to like why this was all such a terrifying thing. And he's just like, I see the knife, and he looks kind of menacing, and he's sort of like limping towards me, and he's like, yo, you Merlin? And I was like, uh-huh. He's like, you want the camera? And I was like, uh-huh. And he's like, all right, come this way. And I was just like, but the address on the ad is this building here. He's like, it's not in that building, it's back here. And I was like, okay. And so I just follow this man to like a different building on this complex, and we go like up these stairs and into. I did not have a gun. I do not own any gun. I'm from Canada, no guns here. I do have, like, now I carry this like little, I carry this little tiny pocket knife, which for legal reasons is for opening Amazon packages. Not self defense.
Can I interject? This is
Yeah.
the commenting here. Defiant Scribblers, my friend Heather, and I know her from Winnipeg.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So
We know, yeah.
I did not have a gun, but I'm walking with this like strange man towards this building, and we go up like a set of stairs, and there's this like door with like a keypad thing, and so we go in, and like we're walking down this really long corridor, and like as we're walking down the corridor, I'm kind of like looking behind me, being like, man, the fucking exit is getting like further and further away from us, and I'm like, how bad do I want this camera? Bad enough I keep following this like strange man deeper into this building, and then we get to the back of the building, we go up this set of stairs, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like we're getting really far away from the exit, and I'm just like, fuck. Then we finally get up to his studio, and he closes the door, which I was just like, Jesus Christ, like I'm just like, this is not what I had in mind to do, like an internet purchase of a fucking camera on a Saturday morning. And he's like, hey man, you want a beer, you want some wine, you want a coffee? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, I just want to buy a camera. I want to give you money and I want to get the fuck out of here because I'm like super creeped out right now. And I was like, no, I'm good. He's like, well, are you sure you want some you want some tea, you want some water, you want some juice? And I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. He's like, all right, well, just make yourself comfortable. And he says, make yourself comfortable. And he's wearing this like sweatshirt, and he goes to take the sweatshirt off, but then it like catches his t-shirt, and so this man's like kind of disrobing in front of me, and I have this moment where I'm like, am I gonna have to suck a dick for this camera? And then I was like, would I suck a dick for this camera?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a lot of money that I'm about to spend on this camera, and I'm like, maybe. I don't have a lot of money, so I just like, how bad could sucking a dick be? That's like more film for camera.
You get like a prize.
And I was just kind of like, oh man, this is really not what I pictured when I woke up this morning to go buy a camera, that I would be standing in this strange man's studio contemplating filleting him for a camera. And then he like, puts a t-shirt back on and he's like, so you like Polaroids? And I was just like, what the fuck is this morning? All of like, this is such a weird morning. And I was like, yeah, of course I like Polaroids. Like, that's why I'm here to buy a Polaroid camera. And it turns out, like, he was an Impossible pioneer, and he'd, like, tested out all of their, like, films along the way. And, yeah, he had some beautiful photos. And so it was just, like, almost 45 minutes of being in his studio. And he's like, so you want to see the camera? I'm like, yes! That's the whole fucking reason I'm here! Like, I hadn't even seen the camera yet.
It's amazing
Yeah.
you stayed that long and weren't just like, excuse me, I have somewhere to be or like something. You're just like, okay.
Well, so like I I have like a propensity or propensity, I don't know, whatever. However you say that word, but I seem to get myself into these life situations where later on I was just like it makes me think about the life choices I made to be in that moment, and it's just kind of like, huh, all right, I guess we're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, that was one of those moments. And then I bought the camera, and he assured me that it would be like a fantastic camera. And it was for like a month, and then it broke. Because so anyone that owns or is thinking about purchasing an SLR 680 or an SX70, one of the most common things to go wrong with them is this little guy here. There's a little light sensor inside of here. It's like a light sensing diode or something. I'm not sure. But after time, because these cameras are old as fuck, like they're from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, this little guy corrodes after a while. And this little guy is responsible for a lot. So it's what tells the camera how to do the exposure. And so when this corrodes over, it starts overexposing or underexposing. And so, like for me, it was overexposing and blowing out every frame. And I had to send it to a place in New York, which I'll never give them money ever again. Um, but they did an okay job refinishing it, and they put this like nice red leather on it. Because originally these are all black. But they tuned it up for me. But I was talking to him. I was like, dude, I gave you a lot of money for this camera. You told me it's perfect. And after a month, it died. And like, that's kind of bullshit. And he told me to come back to the studio, that he'd make it right. And I was just kind of like, But I was like, it was a lot of money. Like, I'm kind of curious, like, how he's going to make it right. And he really did
Please give
make
me
it.
details. Yeah.
He really did make it right. Like, so he ended up giving me my Bronica. What happened? Uh, I won't confirm or deny your statement to that, Jason. But I will say, if you have an SX70 or an SLR 680 and you need service, I would highly recommend contacting a gentleman on Instagram named Zane Pollard, ZanePollard, or for my American friends, Zed E
What?
Z
No.
Z.
Yeah, you said Z the first time, and I was like,
Zed is the Canadian one. I did it American first. Oh Jesus!
"Are you
Y'all
okay?"
Americans have like infected my brain. Anyways, Zane
I
Pollard.
definitely noticed that. I was just like, "Huh,
Yeah.
interesting."
Hit up Zane Pollard if you ever need help with the SX70s or SLR 680s. He's fantastic. But yeah, the dude made it right. He knew that I was wanting to try medium format, which is what I shot my book in, and I shot it with a camera that he actually gave me because he was like, I feel bad about that camera breaking. I thought it was all good. You mentioned you wanted to get into medium format. He's like, I'm so sorry, take this camera. And he gave me this Bronica, which is just like an absolutely beautiful,
Wow.
beautiful medium format camera. Very well, it was very underrated until a bunch of fucking YouTubers started blowing it up recently, and now it's just like insanely priced because the fucking internet. But yeah, it's a great camera, Japanese medium format camera. Um, it's quality comparable to like a Hasselblad, which is like the fancy Swedish medium format camera that everyone that's like, you're not a pro unless you have a Hassie. And it's like, nah, I don't know about that.
Hmm.
But yeah, he gave me that, and then um, I would always get these like weird cryptic calls or texts from him every once in a while, and he'd like give me film and things like that. And um, most recently, he hooked me up with a large format camera, which is like the next step of something that I wanted to get into. So it's like 35 millimeters, like basically small format, like small guy, like the little negatives. And medium format is like a much bigger negative, like 35 millimeters like that. Medium format is like that, and then large format is just like four. I think it's like 4x5 sheets, and then up from there. And I wanted to like get into medium format, and this dude he calls me up one day, and he's like, "Yo, meet me at this Starbucks." And so I go to meet him there, and like we're talking, and he's like, he just plunks this huge low pro bag on the table, and he's like, "I think you're ready for this now." And I'm like, "Okay." And I open it up, and it's this beautiful Wista 4x5 field camera, which when you're getting into like the large format cameras, there's like two ways you can go with it. There's the field cameras, which are like hand holdable and like fairly portable and like easy to truck around. And then there's technical cameras, which like are huge beastly things that like run on a rail, and they're more for like studios and stuff like that. And but
Mm.
they're kind of cool, like what you could do with large format, because they have like tilt shift capability on them, so you can um, like if you want to do like product photography, they're great for that because you could do like a head-on shot of something but not have the camera in scene, because you can like adjust and tilt it in a way where like you can be head on with what you're shooting but not get the reflection of the camera in it. um, and he was just like, when he's talking to me about it, he's like, you don't take photos with large format. He's like, you make photos with them. He's like, it's kind of like somewhere in between like meditating and wanting to kill yourself, because you could spend like 45 minutes like trying to put together a shot to like get it the way that you want it, and then you take that frame, and then maybe you fuck something up loading the film or something, and like you don't get the shot after you spent all of that time. And it's like, because it's one or two shots at a time in the film holders, so it's like you take this shot and you don't even know if you have it yet, because you have to like go back to your like dark room and like develop this shit.
Right.
So it could be like hours or days later, and then you realize that all that time you spent was like worthless because you fucking loaded the film backwards or something, or like just something.
Wow.
So he plunks down this thing. He's like, I think you're ready for this. Some guy is supposed to like buy this off me, but he's been like dogging me for months. And he's like, I want you to take it, and I want you to shoot. Just go out, shoot, shoot, shoot. But he's like, one
Mm.
day I'm gonna call you. I'll be like, yo, bring my camera back. when I call you and I say, you bring that fucking camera back. You fucking bring that camera. I call it. I bring the camera back. You fucking bring the camera back. And I'm like, I get it. Holy shit, man. I get it. Like, um, bring the camera back. And it, it kind of freaked me out a little bit because I'm like, it's a very expensive camera. And he's kind of still, I'm intimidated by this man, even though we're friends now.
He sounds terrifying. But also so deep at the same time. I'm just like, wow, holy shit.
It's kind of a weird thing because he's like, if Mr. Miyagi and the Hulk had a baby, it would be like this kid. But not green. Like, yeah, it was weird. Like, so I have this like fancy camera, but at that time the world hadn't ended, so like I was still traveling a lot. So I was like, I had this trip where I was going to be going away for a week, and I called him up, and I was like, "Yo, I'm like leaving for, I think it was Boston or something," and I'm like, "Do you want me to drop this camera off just in case the guy is like comes to buy it?" He's like, "No, take it with you. Shoot, shoot, shoot." And I went on all these trips, and every time I'd call him up and be like, "Hey, like, do you want me to drop it off?" He's like, "No, take it with you." So like, I literally brought this camera, which was not mine, all over North America for months. Like, I had it for like almost a year, and I was like, "Dude, let's just like work out a deal, because like, I don't want to give this camera back now. Like, me and this
Yeah.
camera bonded. We're like homies now." And so like we had a hard time. We worked something out on it, and like it's my camera now. But yeah, that's how thinking I was gonna suck dick for this camera
Led
led,
into
led into so much more.
this long-term commitment. Yeah.
And it's funny because like I've met so many people now that have like had similar interactions with him, and they're like, yeah, like strange dude, but like heart of gold, and just
The
like
myth,
such
the
a,
legend, yeah.
yeah, like he's kind of legendary. And I guess like at one point like he wasn't as generous as he is now. Like he was a bit more cutthroat like way back in the day, and then something shifted and he just started like giving more to people. And
Hmm.
I think hearing that has been like an interesting thing too, because like I think it's important to give, to share. And
Mhm.
that's one of the things, like, through experience with him, but also through experiences with like several other mentors and stuff like that. Like it doesn't serve you or anyone well if you just hoard what you've learned, or like hoard like the things that you have. And like if you share that freely, or like you share resources that you have with other people so that they could create things, um you kind of get it back in some way. And
1,000%, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so like just something I've always had in mind, not just with like the photography stuff, but like anything I do, like, um I've always found like it's better to just share as freely as you can.
Hmm. Yeah, like I think sometimes sometimes I just like look around my studio and think of just like where did all of this stuff come from? And so much of it is like or even just like so much of it has been either like gifted to me, or like it's been someone doing like a big studio clear out, or um or like a lot of people just offer me like magazines, which is great. Like usually they're just getting rid of their garbage, but it's still very meaningful to me. Um and also just thinking about just the different ways people have made me feel supported. Like it's like um just been so influential and has enabled me to like do whatever, or to feel freer, or just to um feel like what I'm doing is worth trying, or whatever. Um so, and then I find like when, I don't know, it happens really automatically, and then I think about it later, and then think like, oh, I guess I've passed that on. Like I don't usually think about it too much. It just seems like this automatic, like it's just like this impulse to be like, I don't know, give somebody a shortcut to something, or be like, oh, you can just do that. Like, hey, you should just fuck around, don't worry about it too much. Like, you know, or like, oh, this is gonna change your life, or like, it doesn't matter, the lighting doesn't have to be perfect, it turns out. Like, here's a bunch of examples of like what you can do, or what, you know, like, here's a bunch of tips. You know, they could be tangible kind of like things, or it could be like just validating somebody's like frustrations, or talking about artistic process, or like whatever it is. But like or yeah, I don't know, anyway.
Well, and Stephanie has a good point here. She says, dude, I had this whole thing on Twitter this week trying to explain that sharing and making photography accessible to people is important for diversity in film photography. And I completely agree. Like, I think not only in film photography, but like any creative endeavors, like I think there should be more access to let anyone get involved in there. And like,
it's one of the reasons I really like zines. Like, when I like gush about zines, like that's the thing that I really love about it. I've done a couple like little workshops about zines too, and that's kind of like or like when people ask like, what is a zine? Hey, you guys want to hear what a zine is? I bet there's people here who don't know what a zine is. A zine is basically like any like self-published like book, and it's usually not made for profit, and it doesn't include any advertisements, and it's usually you can make it for as cheap as you want, basically. And it's usually small distribution and all that. But it's basically like, here's a zine. It's just like, some people call them pamphlets also, depending on where you are. But this is just like a few pieces of paper, like kind of stapled together, and I use the color photocopier at Staples. But when I like first learned about zines, it was just this like light bulb moment of just like, I can write whatever I want, and like I can, and it can be anything. It can be about anything at all. You can make like recipe books. You can make like, I do collage poetry. I've done like stories about like my experiences with like sexual harassment, and like people do like step-by-step how to make bread. People do, here's what to do if you're ever approached by the cops, like all like, so like you can do anything. And the thing is too that's magical is that you can also trade zines. This has become less and less common, I think, from what I can see, but it's still there. I feel like it's still really important to like to do or to like kind of keep alive, even though zines are super cheap usually, and I got too excited. I'm so tired. But it comes back to this like accessibility of being able to like do something without there being too much of a right way to do it, or having to somehow like have a degree to do something, or to have permission. Like, I feel like that's what it kind of comes down to, is just have permission, just like be able to participate and be able to like express yourself and be able to experiment. And yeah, and there's so many ways to do pretty much anything. Like even with like when I'm doing stop motion, it's like I could do this in a way that's like, you know, a lot more expensive. But if I'm working with what I have, then I have to like, I'm kind of forced to be creative in a different way, or like forced to like understand the medium in a different way, or whatever. But that's also what makes it kind of like more like, I don't know, unique in some ways, is those kind of like limitations. But also you just have to like, you have to start somewhere. One thing that I find kind of like that makes me personally like frustrated is when I'm like, so I see somebody with like a lot of talent and amazing ideas, and like you know, a story that I feel that I'm like that could really, I don't know, just light people up in different way, you know, or like, or I could see like, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about though,
yeah.
You know, and they have all of these, you know, excuses, or all of these like sometimes valid reasons, but to like not, or to be like, oh, but I'm not ready to do this thing yet, or oh, I'm not like, oh, but it's all this like all of this stuff holding them back. It's like, I'm not ready, or like I need to um yeah, I don't know, they have all these rules that they think they need to kind of like follow, or things they need to accomplish first before they are somehow like able to or allowed to, or when something will be like ready in this like specific way. And I'm just like, it doesn't work that way. You just have to like, you just like,
Well, I think it goes
just
back to your
write
point
it
of.
down. Just
I think
stay
it goes back to
put.
your point of permission. Like, I think a lot of
Yeah,
people feel they need like permission or like to
yeah,
level up
and
to
I've
start.
been there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Liz Todd says pushing through the fear and just doing it.
yeah, which I know is hard. I know it's hard. Um, and everyone's on their own, doing their own thing, and it's not like I don't get stuck in that sometimes too. But it's just like, it's yeah, exactly. You're never ready. Yeah, that's the thing. If you're always waiting for to be ready, I feel like there's also this like kind of um I don't know, this kind of myth around like artists sometimes, that I feel like clouds kind of the whole like, or makes this whole illusion of what it means to be like ready to become an artist or something like that. You know
Oh,
what I
that's
mean?
cool. DS Manning says one of his favorite zines he's made was at work with the receipt printer. That'd be
Oh,
like wicked cool.
yeah. There's something temporary about that too, because receipts fade, and like
That's
that, like
right.
the whole paper
Oh,
fade.
that's interesting.
We're both like,
Yeah, that'd be kind
that's
of
cool.
like I like your like
Yeah,
so what
amazing.
Rosie was saying about like having more inclusivity, like I think not just in
Yeah.
film photography, but I think in art in general is like an important thing. But then also like your comment on permission, like um when I first started doing photography stuff here, I got like super jazzed and I got invited to like put my shit in like this gallery thing that I had to pay for, which I will never
Welcome
do
to
again.
Toronto. Yeah.
But I was just like, oh my god, they want to see my stuff, and they're like, I made it, and this is
That's
so cool.
yeah.
And I did it 3 times, and I was like, this is bullshit. Fuck this.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you're like, wow, is that all there is? Or like, wow, this is the thing. Or because
Yeah,
people also have kind of funny ideas of what it means to like put your stuff in a gallery. I'm like, that is so much fucking work with very little payoff, unless you personally are definitely gonna buy some of my stuff so I can maybe break even.
right.
Thanks for encouraging me, but you don't know what you're talking
Yeah, it's so weird. And then just like
Not
the,
the help
the
that I need here.
and then the artsy
Yeah.
questions of things, like I was just like, I can't do
Yeah.
this is not for me. Like
Yeah.
your comment of your like ask your health professional if this is for you. It was just like,
Oh
doing
yeah.
more seriously is not for me.
Right.
And then I got involved with like, some other stuff that was like a little bit more formalized and realized I don't really like art administration very much. I find it kind of like stifling and aggravating.
Mm.
And like, it's like I don't need your permission to make shit, but like you're affecting my ability to like use these facilities to do cool shit because like it doesn't fit inside of the box you want me to fit
Yeah.
in. Like
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you've
Totally.
ever come across that with your stuff, but I just wish there'd be more inclusivity. Like just let people fucking get in and make stuff.
Yeah. It really. I feel like my experience has been kind of like all over the place, or like I don't know. I've had extremely positive experiences, and then like some where it's just like, wow, this is fucking bullshit. And so, a lot of times I really question like how much of it is like me not willing or somehow stopping myself from like sitting down and writing the grant proposal like properly, and like doing the drafts and getting feedback and like putting in all of that labor, when I'm
Yeah.
just like, but I just want to write the poetry, like kind of thing. But that's like a whole nother, like, is that kind of what you're that's kind of what you were talking about with like arts
Well,
administration stuff, right? Or like,
so that, but just like that kind of stuff is a little crazy. Thank you for joining, Stephanie. Stephanie's going to be on soon, so we're going to have a really good
sweet,
chat with her in a
I'll
couple of
try to
weeks.
catch it. Great.
Um, that, but just also like a collective thing that I'm part of, where it's just like it's run by an administration, and it's just really
Yeah.
weird. There's like a difference between like what some of the members want to do versus like what the business side of it does. And it's just like, well,
Yeah.
shouldn't this be more for the members instead of like
Yeah.
taking all of this money and promoting other people so it looks good for your CV, but it doesn't really do anything for the membership here other than help you elevate yourself for when you go off somewhere else?
Yeah, a lot of it is there's a lot of like, I don't know, kind of like virtue signaling, stuff like
No.
that kind of, yeah, kind of
What?
stuff. Yeah, we're just like what's going to be Instagrammable. Um,
That's an interesting thing too, because I think that's a huge problem that plagues photography on Instagram and like art in
yeah,
general. Like, you know,
yeah, yeah,
what you want to create inside of you versus like what it will be like Instagram marketable, because I think that's like the new like commercially marketable, because like, you know, what gets commercially marketed now, like everything's like on Instagram, and then if it blows up you can get picked up and monetize it or like whatever. I don't know how that stuff works. I'm not that popular.
yeah. Neither am I. I don't know. Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know. At the same time, there are, people who feel similarly and really want. Um, wow, I almost said they really want to give artists exposure. They, whoa.
I didn't mean to honk on
Um,
that one though, because like
yeah,
I used to play in bands and I just remember that being like a thing where it's just like, no, like you'll get exposure. And it's like, cool,
yeah,
well, exposure's not gonna pay for beer and gas to get here,
yeah,
asshole.
yeah. I feel like people like the exposure joke has kind of made the rounds, and now people are kind of finding other ways to say exposure, but like kind of mean other things. Because usually, now if you skim a thing and it says exposure, like people will flip out, you know. And now I feel like it's like they use like opportunity or um like networking opportunities or like collaboration. That's another thing when people are like, we should collab. Like sometimes I'm kind of like, what do you mean? Like a kind, like I feel like that can be kind of like a kind of um you mean
You give me
exposure.
your idea for free and then I make money from it.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah. Um so um
Yeah, someone said, oh my God, Instagram marketing, ever find a good collaboration there? I haven't.
do you mean like on Instagram in general, or do you mean like random people who are like, hey, do you want to partner with my product or whatever?
So that's an interesting point because like yes, I have had some like great collaborations with like other creators where like because I don't like just taking photos of people, and like I've always been a little like leery and cautious of like photographing people just like for personal reasons and feelings and stuff like that. Um, so like I've just never really gotten to that, but I've like partnered with some like really amazing talented creatives that have these like, you know, brilliant ideas of these like visual things that they want to create, um, but they just need someone to push a button basically.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so like we've made some really cool stuff where it's just like, you know, they have this like great creative and then they're just allowing me to be part of that experience to capture it for them. So from that sense, yeah, totally. But then on like the Instagram marketing side of things, my like general messages, I don't know if you get this, but like I get all of these things every once in a while where it's like, oh my God, we love your stuff, let's partner. And it's like a bracelet thing or it's like a detox like tea, and I'm like, what? Like, do you even
yeah.
want
I'll get. It's usually, yeah, some really random shit. Like I don't. I mean, like, so no. I've not found any good kind of like brand. Like, yeah, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
yeah,
think any
so
of them are like, they're all very spammy, so I don't think any of them are like real offers. So I don't know.
it's super spammy. Like it's
Yeah,
just
and I
really
can't think of any brands where I'd be like, oh, I would totally partner with them. Like I'm making guillotine t-shirts. I don't know. Like
you
I
wouldn't want to partner with like Amazon or something.
don't know. Lol, lol, lol. No, no, I
It
don't think
could,
they'd like all my like very pro-union subtext.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
Um,
The Tower of
Whatever.
London. Huh? I'm not
More
sure.
context, please.
Yeah, what do you mean by Tower of London?
It's so cryptic.
It is very cryptic.
Yeah.
Is this where we get murdered
Hmm.
on live now? I don't
I don't know. Jesus. So dark. Merlin.
yeah. I mean, I've been accused of that. Big smiles here. Okay. Um, yeah.
Great.
I,
Good.
I
I feel like we went on a bit of a tangent. I'm not sure where we went back. Oh,
uh,
I know exposure. Oh yeah, there are definitely people and like organizations out there and people running those organizations, I think, who want to make
oh,
things easier and more
so
accessible and all.
Liz was saying Tower of
For
London for partnership.
the partnership and the t-shirts. Of course. Dream collab, really. Reach
That's
out.
amazing.
Reach out, Tower of London.
You should hit up the Tower of London, or maybe the French government. They might be like kind of down with
Maybe.
that. Yeah,
Maybe. I don't know. Oh dear.
they were like big fans of the guillotine back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if the government is really, the current government is going to be a big fan. I don't really. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. This was
Yeah.
fun though. I hadn't thought about my crazy camera adventures in a while like that.
Yeah.
That's a wild one. To Beach's question, what is the best way to approach someone to work with on photos? Example, I have an idea but need subjects to capture a scene. I feel like my friends are all tired of me asking. um, well, I mean, so there's some ways you could. There's like a site, Model Mayhem or something. I've never used it, but like I know some photographer friends have used it to find like models and stuff, and like you can find models on there that are looking for doing like trade basically, where it's like, you know, you give them photos in return for them giving you their time to take pictures. So you could try something like that. There's a couple of Facebook groups for Ontario photographers where you can like connect with people. Um, so you can maybe try that as well too. Um, or if like there's like an Instagrammer who like you find interesting, maybe ask them like, you know, if they like most models on there will say like DM for rates or something like that, or like you may be able to um, talk to them about like working on a collaboration. I think it doesn't hurt to like send a message. Like I've had people message me asking if I would like to, you know, work on projects with them. And have like, you know, done the same. Like that's how photography chats happens. I just send people a message being like, yo, you want to sit with me on the internet and talk in front of strangers? So I mean, just give that a try, or just keep harassing your friends. I don't. Do you have any tips or tricks or comments, Julianne?
Um, I no. I was kind of thinking. I'm like, I'm really not. I'm not even sure. Um, I guess it depends on like what you're looking for. You know, I don't know.
But also, because I believe you're in Ontario, um, we're still in a state of emergency, so stay home.
Mm. Yeah. Also, yeah,
Yeah,
kind of.
now's not the time to be collaborating.
Yeah.
Possibly planning for a time in the hopefully not distant future when numbers stay consistently low enough that like we're um, raised out of this state of emergency we're in right now and get into like a lesser state of emergency. Um, so that would be nice one day.
Yeah.
Um, Victor says back in the day, the last execution by guillotine in France was 1977. Holy shit. That's like
Thank
not that
you
long.
for that fun fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I heard about. Yeah, did we talk about this, Victor? Like, Victor's one of my friends from swing dancing.
Oh, okay.
Um, uh, when trying to remember because I looked this up. Um, like why he was guillotined. It was a guy. Was it murder? It might have been murder. I think it was something pretty ugly. Um, yeah. Actually, wait, was it? Sorry. I might be mixing something up with because I think I found something that was also like by electric chair. No, guillotine. Anyway, yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah, it would be like weird to see someone's head pop off.
Depends on whose head, in my opinion.
That's fair. Yeah, yeah, that's yeah.
But yeah, it is still creepy. Actually, like when I was trying to find like the right like image that I wanted to use for like so I was like searching like guillotine images and if I was gonna draw it or what. And it's really kind of weird how many different like variations of like guillotine designs there are. Like there were some where they've got like a basket to like catch the head. Some they have like, so this is like the thing where like you lay body on, and then it was like, you know, debating if like you know, they go face down or face up. And some of them they don't have this platform here, you know, it's just freestanding, so you got to just kind of like sit there. Some of them have place for hands, like, you know, all these fucking details. Some of them have straps to hold them down. Lots of different options for whatever kind of execution you want to have. Yeah, and after a while, I was just like, this is fucking creepy.
You know what's fucked up about that though is like there probably existed a guillotine salesman that would like travel the land with like a guillotine like sales brochure. It's like, how do you want to option out your guillotine?
I came across a song the other day. I can't remember the name of it. I might have to look it up, but it was kind of like whatever. It had a lyric about a guillotine museum, and I just can't stop thinking about that.
Sorry, Johnny has a question here, which I think you would be a veritable wealth of knowledge to answer.
Oh,
So not a photo question, but what is Winnipeg like? The community, easy to make friends? There's a job opportunity, but the internet paints it as a less desirable part of Canada.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. That's the short answer. Yeah. I mean, okay. Where do I begin, Merlin? Like, I found Winnipeg a very difficult place to be for very many reasons. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I've tried to check and see if it was because I was in like not a great place, or because I just needed like different friends, or if it was because of like when I lived there and how old I was and what I wanted and whatever. But I've been back a couple times and I'm pretty sure it's not just me. And I've connected with a lot of other people from Winnipeg who had very similar experiences, and it's all very validating. So Winnipeg is basically like a giant small town. I'll try and summarize it in like the little bits of like generalizations, safe generalizations I can make. Yeah, it's basically like a big small town. Like it's kind of there's a lot of things that kind of contribute to that. One of them is just like it's kind of isolated. Like it's the next largest city like near Winnipeg is like Thunder Bay and Regina. So like if you're in Winnipeg, like that's kind of it. A big contrast to like Toronto for me. Like when I noticed here, it's like if there's anything I wanted to do, I had options available that I could choose from. So if I want to take, say, like, let's say like an animation workshop, like I Google that and like there's like a bunch of places I could do that. Or if I wanted to like take like swing dancing lessons, there's a couple of different, now it's a bit different, but there were a couple places that I could choose from. Whereas in Winnipeg, if you like look any of that stuff up, there's like one place basically for each of those things. There's one place to do like, yeah, there's like one scene for everything, sort of. And I found it really hard to like come up as an artist there, to like grow up and like in order to be like, I'm an artist, this is what I make, this is what I do. I feel good about it. I can talk about it. I feel like I have the permission to do it. Like it was, I had to leave Winnipeg to get all those, to get that, which I found in like, thank God. Not to say that I didn't have supportive friends. Like I had many supportive friends in Winnipeg, but there was a, like this really big kind of like overcast, like feeling of like when people see someone, especially if you're like a woman who seems like, you know, sure of herself, um like they like people get are really easily threatened by that, or for by anybody kind of like doing something a bit different or doing something that's not kind of like, um you know, graduate, go to university or college, get a job, get your benefits, get married, have kids. Like there's kind of like that kind of like, you know, step by step program to make sure that you're on the right track. And if you deviate from that, it's just like, wow. It's either like, wow, I wish I could do that. That must be so nice for you. Or it's like, or it's a lot of like, be careful. Like there's all this like these warnings. And so you've got that like going on in your head so that you're questioning yourself all the time. And it's really fucking toxic. And so I found that super, super difficult. And if people like, you know, I sold some like little drawings and stuff at like the odd vendor or the odd little like fair as a vendor. And like people would come up to me and just want to talk about like their daughter going to OCAD, you know, and there's a lot of like people will just want to name drop and be like, do you know this person? Do you know that person? Like, and it's just like, no, but so what? Like, is that important? You know, but it's this kind of like wanting to, yeah, it just happened all the fucking time. And as an artist, like it's kind of your job to sort of live life a bit differently and to question the way that things are and make people uncomfortable. And it's really easy to do that in Winnipeg, like really easy. Like you don't have to do much to make people feel like really uncomfortable and like threatened and competitive and whatever. In Toronto, I find like you got to work a little harder to freak people out or like to, you know, make people feel uncomfortable or whatever.
Yeah, it gets pretty weird here.
Yeah, but it's like it's okay, you know.
Yeah.
Like for like one thing that I just like I just like it makes me think like this can't be real. Like this can't be like I must be making this up in my head, but like no, I'm not. Like this fucking happens where it's like, you know, like if I get a little bit dressed up and I put on lipstick, it's like a whole thing, you know. Like people are just like, oh, look at you, oh, you're all dressed up, oh, like someone's got to say something that's got to like make you just like, it's not about me, it's about them, you know. Like I know that, but like if I wear lipstick here in Toronto, people are like, cool, yeah, whatever, live your fucking life, I don't give a fuck. Like nice lipstick, whatever. You know.
Yeah.
But that kind of like that, something's a small action like that where you're like expressing yourself in an intentional way and maybe experimenting with like, you know, taking a little responsibility for like your appearance and like, you know, whatever. It's like a whole fucking thing.
Kat says here,
No.
she says, girl, relatable for anyone from small cities. Fuck the
Yeah.
patriarchy. Conformity rules in smaller places. And
Yeah,
really, that
exactly.
small
And the
town.
thing is that the population is almost 1 million. That's the thing that a lot of people,
Yeah.
that surprises a lot of people, I think. It's also shitty to like just outside of the mentality and stuff. It's just a frustrating place to live. Like you need to have a car, unless you want to deal with transit, which fucking sucks. Also, if you want to do any of that in the wintertime, it fucking sucks.
Well,
The
the
summers are
transit
pretty nice, which I didn't appreciate until after I came here, but because I hate the
the
summers.
transit's interesting too, because like I remember looking at this website. I don't know if it's still around, but like there was like a website where people would like write stories about like the hellish things they would see on like the Winnipeg Transit, and there was like a lot of fucked up shit that
Yeah,
happened on that thing.
yeah,
And but there's a rapper that I like from Winnipeg, Pip Skid. In an interview, he called the buses in Winnipeg mobile insane asylums.
Sure.
which
Yeah, because
is
there's not a lot of resources. There's not a lot, and like resources can look like a lot of different things, not just like, stuff for mental health. It can just be like making people feel like they can wear some fucking lipstick without making a big fucking deal about it. Like, for example, like um yeah, like, so anyway, yeah, no fucking wonder. And people are miserable. Like, people feel really stuck in their lives, and people feel really, really resentful about that. And they resent people who choose to like do something about it. Generally,
the racism is
generally,
pretty strong there too. Like there's
big time, big
a
fucking
lot of
time.
racism and
Yes,
a lot of issues with indigenous people there. Like it's pretty fucked up.
it's
Like
atrocious.
yeah, the time I've spent there, like I haven't like not enjoyed visiting Winnipeg, but it's always because I know that like in a couple of hours I'm leaving.
It's different to visit than to leave. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's one thing like that you bring up where it drives me really crazy sometimes, like living in Toronto and talking to people who have never really left Toronto and talking about like Toronto as somehow like a good representation of like what the rest of Canada is like, and it is
God
fucking
no.
not.
No,
It is fucking
no,
not. Yeah.
no. Like it's
Um,
as soon as you leave Toronto, it gets like more and more racist the west
Not
you.
that it's some kind of like racism free paradise here, like at all by any means.
No,
Um,
but it's so like when I had the opportunity to move out here, I wasn't sure about it, and someone that I respect a lot, he was like, "Dude, you just do it." He was like, "If you think Vancouver is a multicultural place, he's like, it's gonna look like a fucking hick town after you spend a few months in Toronto."
mm,
And he wasn't wrong. Like it's Vancouver does feel like a hick town now whenever I go
mhm.
back after spending time in Toronto. Like there's definitely problems here and there's a lot of issues, but they're
Yeah,
way more apparent when you go east or west from here.
yeah.
Like
It
this,
it just shows up
yeah,
really differently.
it really
And
does.
it's like I find in Winnipeg it's a lot more like explicitly, and it's kind of like a pick your poison kind of thing. Like, do you want it more explicitly expressed or like less so? Like it like all of it's shit. Um, but like um it's really casual. Like, it just comes up in like fucking small talk, and like and people justify like it's whatever. It's gross. If you're
Um,
going to move to Winnipeg, I feel like if you were going to move there for this job opportunity for like 1 year, you could probably do it. It'd probably be okay, but like you got other options.
Liz asks an interesting question here, and I'm curious, like, what your take is on it, and I'll give sort of my spin on it. But what are the best cities in Canada for creatives?
Not really sure. I haven't really lived in very many places in Canada, so I'm not sure if I'm that qualified to speak on it.
That's
I've just lived in Winnipeg and Toronto. I've lived in like a couple places in like Europe, in the UK, but like whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Toronto like seems good. Um, However, it's like fucking expensive, and um, like it's difficult. There's a lot of things that are difficult and make it difficult. Like, the city is not like, I don't know. In terms of like, people are generally pretty open and curious about whatever people are doing. Like, people are interested in meeting new people. There's people coming and going all the time. Um, which I think is really cool. Say in Winnipeg, it's just like it's. I remember once someone asked me if I was from Winnipeg, like for one of the first times in my life, and I was like probably 22, and I was just like, yeah, like I was like, yeah, where else would I be from, kind of thing. And then I was just, but in the moment, I was also like, oh yeah, that's a fair question, actually. But in
yeah.
Toronto, like that's one of the first questions I ask people is like, so did you grow up here, like all the time, or like where'd you move here from, if they mention like, like it's not a given that you're just like from here. Anyway, there's a lot of like movement, which I think is really cool for just like people being, I think it contributes to people being open to like new stuff. Um, and yeah, I think people are interested in what artists have to say generally. So I find that good. Um, Especially too when it's just like if you want to put on some kind of event. I mean, well, I was gonna say you have to like pull fucking teeth to get people in Winnipeg to like come out and do something. Um, Toronto's kind of similar, but not like
When there's also just like more variety. Well,
there's
pre-COVID, there
there's,
was more
there's
variety.
options.
Yeah, there's lots of
Yeah,
options. Like I,
almost overwhelming sometimes. That's why people choose to stay home.
there,
You're like, oh,
there's
always so
so
much going
many
on.
different things. Yeah, like I remember, like 2019 was such a bit, like 2019, 20. There's always like so many different things going on,
Yeah.
and like you look in Instagram stories, like on a Friday or something, and there's like so many like different things, and you're just like, which one do I go to?
Yeah.
Like there was a lot.
I like rely heavily on my phone calendar
Yeah,
just to like make sure, like, yeah.
I think like living in Vancouver for a while before it died, um, and spending time in Toronto, spending a little bit of time in Montreal, um, the creative community in Toronto has done nothing but blow my mind. And like I've heard a lot of
Yeah,
creatives
people are
been
wicked
here for a while,
talented.
complain about it, being like, "Oh, it's like dying here." But it's like my perspective is of being someone like fairly new here because I've only been in Toronto now for about 3.5 years. I find like even in its death throes, as some people seem to think it is, it's still hella vibrant and is like really fucking
Yeah.
cool. And like, I don't think it's dead yet. Like it's still in a weird way, which still blows my mind. Toronto is expensive, but it's still in some ways more affordable than Vancouver is, which surprises the heck out of me. And
Hmm.
there's more options for creatives in Toronto. I've heard lots of great things about Montreal, and Montreal is like fairly cheap to live in, and you don't
I don't
necessarily
know.
need to know how to speak French there. Like it's Montreal
It's
itself
changing.
fairly Anglophone centric or Anglophone friendly. It's like if you go into like other parts of Quebec, then that could become kind of problematic. But that being said about Vancouver, I think like COVID has been breathing a little bit of life back into Vancouver because
Hmm.
people that left, because like what I noticed happened to Vancouver over the last little bit is that as real estate prices were ballooning like crazy there, and it was just becoming like less and less easy for creatives to afford to live there or even find spaces because like so many spaces got gentrified and turned into condos or like whatever, which is happening here too, but not as quick as it's happening in Vancouver. Like gentrification in Vancouver is happening at such a faster pace than it is here.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think like with COVID, I've been hearing a lot of people migrating back west because like all the cool shit that's in Toronto is like it's not really cool right now because like we're stuck at home and we can't
Also,
fucking
just like there's a lot of venues and places that are being forced to close, and I think this like that's one thing that I'm like
yeah
when we talk about grief and COVID, that's definitely one thing that I'm kind of like, what's gonna be left? Like, what's
yeah
like these memories and these potential options of places where it's like, oh, I could hang my art there one day, like kind of, or like whatever. It's like those places are gonna be gone, and I know there will be no there's always going to be new places, like it's like um these places that have been around for 30 years were once new too, like and once
yeah
replaced something else. So like I know that there's always going to be, this resurgent, like it's not really going to die, but it is this sort of like um huge restructuring, and it's kind of painful. But yeah,
yeah
that's something that kind of like scares me of just like what's gonna financially survive any of this,
and,
which I think is
and
like really sad and infuriating.
it is sad and infuriating for sure, but I think like of the places where um like regrowth will happen easier and I guess more
Mm-hmm.
rapid, probably Toronto
Mm-hmm.
over Vancouver, just because there's more
Right.
access to things here and like more stuff is happening. Um, but like
Interesting.
Vancouver is improving a little bit. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
I got to like on this I was in Vancouver in late November, early December, helping a friend move out there, and I got to meet some cool creatives that are out there, and like there's people that are coming back to Canada from like abroad as well too, and they're bringing like their experience
Yeah.
and like knowledge back here,
Yeah.
and hopefully that could help like breathe some life into like creative stuff. But like um, up until like this last trip to Vancouver, I felt like any kind of creative stuff in Vancouver was like basically dead or just like super bougie rich bullshit.
Yeah. It's
And
like
it was
shallow.
yeah, and it was kind of cool to just see like, there's like a glimmer of hope that like, the cool creative Vancouver that I remember from like the early 2000s could maybe be coming
Like
back a little.
revived.
Yeah, like a bit of a revival because like people are coming back. Like that was the thing that was sad. Like when it became unaffordable to live in Vancouver, people just started leaving in droves. And so like there
Yeah.
was no more like really cool creatives that gave like, the heart and soul that like made Vancouver interesting. Like artists moved away, musicians moved away, and like, that takes the culture away when that happens. And now you just like have this beautiful place that's devoid of interesting things.
Yeah.
And that was like what I loved about Toronto when I came here is like, whoa, this place is like fucking alive. Like there was just
Mm-hmm.
so much stuff happening here, and like anything you
Yeah.
wanted to experience, you could just go find it. And like, for someone that likes
And if you
photography,
can't find it, you can make it happen.
exactly. And like for photography, like there's so much to photograph here. Like, I've driven all over the place, and like I don't think I've even like captured like 5% of like what is out in Toronto in like the last like, almost 4 years. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's wild. And then like Montreal like is such a cool place too. So like I think there's that. And then I've heard like good things about the East Coast because like it's cheap to live out there, and there's some
Yeah.
cool pockets of like creative communities out there that are kind of like tight knit. But if you can like do like remote work and like you promote yourself online, like the East is probably not a bad place because you can just go get yourself like a cheap studio and like live by the ocean and get inspired by shit and like
Yeah.
stay away from people because COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Photograph the landscapes. Get really into landscapes and
Yeah,
like still life.
I don't really like still life.
Like, sound how thrilled and engaged I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess
That's
that's like my
interesting.
hot take on that question. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think I'm running out of steam a little bit.
Me too. Well, we've
Um,
covered so much ground and so like animatedly so and so much
yeah,
enthusiasm.
yeah,
It's
and I
full
like,
moon.
oh shit, it is the full moon too. Yeah,
Full
because
moon in Leo,
oh man,
by the way. I gotta go
um,
out and look at it.
gotta go howl at the moon.
Yeah. Just for like a second.
Yeah, just see how it feels. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for joining me. I know this is probably like a
Thanks for
little
having
bit
me.
different take of like what I usually have on the show, but I did that on purpose because like I don't want this to just be um, something that's like just film photography stuff. Like I want to be able to maybe branch it out so that people get like a different opinion and different take from like other places that could it sort of like bleed over into like photography stuff
Yeah.
and just encourage people to think a little bit differently because like just I don't know in my personal life experience found that like I've gone out and experienced a lot of different things in a vast scope of different fields all over the place. And
Hmm.
all of the different things I've done have turned out to be wildly beneficial in the things I've decided to focus and specialize in because you're like, oh yeah, that thing. I need that knowledge
Yeah,
now. I learned that,
that's
and I
really well said. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So I appreciate you bringing a new, fresh take onto the show and spending some time with me, and I appreciate everyone that's like spent all of this time with us tonight, and
Yeah, thanks.
yeah.
But thank you for having me on because I thought it was really like I was like watching some of the episodes and like thought it was pretty interesting and like I always like hearing about people's like creative process or just like how I don't know just different things that they encounter with like their medium even if I don't know what all of these like model names are like what like I don't know it's cool. Um but yeah, when you invited me on, or when you were like, "Hey, like I'll have to have you on sometime," and I was like, "Sure, I could talk about art stuff." Like, I guess I'd be kind of feel kind of out of place, and you're like, "Oh, you can just talk about like how you use your camera for stop motion." I was just like, I totally forgot I do that. Like, I didn't even think of that. So that I thought that was really like it was cool that you noticed that and noticed that like little kind of possibility there.
What
So
is that? And then
thanks,
there's like
thank you.
a little bit of overlap with the screen printing and stuff too. And
Yeah,
I think like it was great to have you on and talk about this stuff because like it could help because it's all creative. It's all like something that we could maybe pull something that we learned tonight to apply into like photography practice or like whatever mediums you decide to choose to exercise yourself and
yeah. Plus,
that's
you and I always find lots of cool things to talk about. So
yeah
yeah,
you're
I always have
always spending time with you.
lot of fun talking to you. And yeah,
David said he had a good time and he loves us both. I love you too, David. You're good people. And I know
likewise.
Julianne appreciates your
Yeah,
photography. And thank you,
I do.
JP, and thank you, Johnny, for your engagement and questions. It is great to have all you, and Kat for your support and hearts. Appreciate that. And same with Nas. Thank you for all the support and hearts. And next week, I'm going to have Philip Steble, one of the co-owners and co-founders of the Darkroom Lab in San Clemente, California. He's going to be joining me next week, so that should be a fun and interesting episode. So yeah, thank you again, and we'll talk soon.
Yep.
And stay safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, do all that kind of stuff.
Take care of yourself. Take care of your brain.
Yeah,
Congratulations on your cool new glasses.
thank you. It's exciting. It's a
Cool.
weird thing to be excited about, but I've realized now that I have fat cheeks because they keep like butting up on that. But
You mean great cheekbones?
yeah, let's go with that. Great
Yes.
cheekbones. It'll help because I have a stubby nose, so like they won't go down too far because my cheek catches the glasses. So
They're the perfect
I like
glasses
that.
for you.
Stay positive, test negative.
Ooh, I like that.
That's great.
Cool.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week and have a fantastic weekend. All right.
See you later,
Cheers.
Mama.
Bye.
Bye.